Shadow's a special kid who was so delusional that he created an army of underage girls to make money for him. He wanted to become so strong to the point where he even surpassed nukes. And how did he do all of this? Well, he first had to get isekai'd by the infamous Truck-kun. I will be ranking Shadow on the menace tier list as well as counting his kills and harem count. This is the popular girl at school and she's dead afraid of everyone, so she tries to please everyone, even Sid Kagane, the main character, who's gonna become the future overpowered pimp. But this brother just ignores her and continues to do some Rock Lee stuff, like carrying around a 100 kg bag, 100 kg shoes, and even a 100 kg gripper. Bro's so delusional that he thinks that everyone is an NPC and even refers to them as such. So while this girl was walking home, in the middle of the night, she bumps into a freaking hoodlum. She tries to run away but ends up getting kidnapped. She then sees this man Sid staring at her like he was the one who plotted all this. After they kidnapped Nishino, the girl, Sid decided to become Batman, and as they're about to do the no-no to the girl, brother blasts through the roof window and lands like some sort of superhero. Who the hell are you? My name? Oh shit, a name, huh? I got one. My name is Stylish Ruffian Slayer. After coming up with the crappiest name possible, even the guy's like, that is not your name, and attempts to shoot Sid, but Sid throws a blade into his hand, blitzes him, and body slams him, before stomping him out. The other hooligan then gets excited to get his butt whooped, so Sid and him engage. The guy tries to shank him, but Sid manages to avoid it. This guy then begins slobbering on Sid's blood and begins attacking him, but Sid suddenly pulls out freaking crowbars, and makes this guy regret that he brought a knife to a crowbar fight. Sid then begins spinning his crowbars around and then disarms his brother. Dude then decides to box up Sid, and he's actually doing well, hitting solid steel bars with his bare fist. He kicks Sid away and somehow manages to hurt Batman. If Batman was broke and lived at a homeless shelter, Sid then switches to police brutality gear and begins whooping this man. Dude gets backhanded away and realizes Sid is the crazy maniac who's been going around beating up entire gangs. Sid then approaches this guy, and Dude realizes that he's about to get violated, so he tries to grab the gun on the ground, but Sid makes this man take his hand out of the cookie jar. After this, Sid pretty much beats bro till he dies. Honestly, he deserves it. After Dude is looking like ground beef, Sid approaches Nishino and cuts her free. So just from this, Sid is already up there in the menace tier list. After this, Sid realizes that he's still not him, so for him to become the main character, he begins smashing his head against a rock while chanting like a maniac in the middle of the night, before running into the road and died by Truck-kun. He was then reincarnated as a spoiled child. The parents notice that he isn't crying, which Sid quickly realizes that he's been reborn. It's as if he kind of planned for it. Throughout this story, you guys are going to see that this guy Sid is either the biggest idiot or an omni-brain genius. So as this brother grows up, he pretends to be the side character, while still actively participating in menace behavior. This guy Sid, at 9 years old, decided to slaughter a group of bandits. After killing a bunch of them, one of them forgets that they're just a side character and attempts to attack him. He manages to land a blow, but Sid is like, just kidding, now get fucked. So after turning everyone into A5 Wagyu beef, this brother loots the place and finds the baddest girl in anime. He decides to take it home and begins torturing and experimenting on it. After an entire month of Frankenstein activities, the blob turns into a minor inconvenience. I have to blur this out since she's a minor inconvenience. Sid acts all dramatic and begins making things up. He somehow manages to convince the girl that he's not just pulling things out of his GTA pocket. So after recruiting the girl who's a minor inconvenience, he ends up recruiting an entire army of minor inconveniences. Now, you're about to see why this guy Sid is a legit pimp. Positive, inspiring, motivational person. Now, Sid likes to mess with people by acting like an absolute weakling. For example, while sparring with his sister, Sid got parried and sent flying by his sister, and as she's about to cut his head off, brother decided to do this disrespectful move where he moved out of the way, cut her like 50 times, and then moved back to the same spot and pretending to get sent flying. This already earns him a chance to compete with the other menaces, but this part is where his sister got kidnapped. So this is really about to prove that Sid is him. After discovering this, Sid summons his minor inconvenience. Right now, he actually has a total of 50. I'll have to keep track cause bro's greedy ass is taking all the minors inconveniences for himself. So they are now trying to figure out where his precious big sister went. As Beta is telling him where the enemy base is, bro tries to look cool by throwing a knife onto the spot, but ends up missing completely.
Below Shadow, there's nothing there. Willow Shadow, are you saying that the spot we were looking at was actually a bluff and this is the actual spot?
So while that happens, Sid's sister is locked up in a cell with this guy. She begins glazing this brother Sid, and this guy ends up saying that there's no incest in this anime, which makes Sid's big sister angry. She becomes crazy and begins threatening to kill this man's entire generation if he lays his hands on her brother from Alabama. But dude is like, man, shut your... Suddenly though, one of his minions comes running in, saying that the Minecraft players are attacking. Sid's army of overpowered chicks raid the place. The guy realizes that he's the only person left, and I wish I was in this man's place right now, cause he begins getting jumped by these baddies. So after getting beaten, he takes his Viagra and begins powering up. So after powering up, he attacks and sends Alpha back. He makes a hole in the ground and escapes. And yes, this is Alpha and this is Beta. Sid didn't have time to name his miners, so he instead used code names. Also, you'll soon see that he gathers so many that he ends up just naming them by numbers. This Viagra addict ends up running to Sid, thinking that there's only one enemy. He attacks, but Sid freaking blocks it in the coldest way possible. They begin sword fighting, but Sid just dodges it and disrespects his brother by slapping his sword away and cutting him. After getting cut into bacon bits, he falls to his knees. I don't care how strong you are. The darkness of this world is far deeper than you can imagine. I bet. After Sid said that, he consumes all of his Viagra pills and charges Sid. But after attacking Sid 100 times, Sid makes it clear that you're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. And charges up the most heinous attack and just kills him on the spot. After this, Sid goes back to being an NPC. His sister had to walk back by herself and clearly knows that this guy Sid, something's clearly up with this fool. But something bad happens again. Something way worse than losing your sister. Sid gets approached by his miners for Minecraft, and they say that they're getting too old for his taste, so Sid just ends up being maidenless. Well, even worse, he's minerless. Sid ends up attending a nice school where he plans to blend in with the rest of the side characters. He begins hanging out with these idiots who look like the most side characters to ever exist. Sid is standing there with a grin like, I'm about to be the best side character ever. His homies are like, you know you have to confess to the most popular girl in school, right? Ha, yeah, this is perfect. I get to perfect my role as a side character. So while this actual side character confesses to this girl, Alexia, he gets brutally rejected. She's a princess, so she walks off and leaves this dude broken. It's time for Sid's turn. He's been dared, so his friends are expecting him to have no game. And oh my lord, this brother really has no game. Princess, I like you. Will you please be my girlfriend? Nah, bro did not have to fumble the bag that hard. Even Sid is expecting to get rejected. Alright, Duke Dennis, I will. Huh? That proposal was so ass that honestly, let's get married. Now, Sid was now ready to make babies, so he actually tries to do rude things to get Alexia to dump him. Wow, that's a lot of food. Yeah, but I never managed to finish it. Oh, then I'll indulge myself. After this, Sid spars with her, and after, he discovers that Alexia is just using him as a scapegoat to avoid marrying this guy, who she says has no flaws and is perfect in every way, while Sid is flawed and has no redeeming aspect. So basically, you don't want to get engaged with the Royal Guards captain, and you're now using me to get out of it. Am I right? Yep. You're right. Sid doesn't want to have any part of this drama, but Alexia pulls out a shiny coin and tosses it over to Sid. Do I strike you as a guy who could be bought with money? Yes. Well, you're absolutely right. Sid ends up being her puppy, but trust me, he's acting really down bad right now because despite him having a harem, he's dead broke. Alexia and Sid end up getting into a fight, which Alexia dumps him. The next day though, Sid is hanging out with his two goofies who are like, did you clap? Huh? Like, did you do it? It's been a month. You had to at least have kissed her. Man, hell nah. Sid, despite having a mega harem, has never done PP training. So imagine if he does. Well, we have bad news, cause these guards surround them and reveals that Sid is the prime suspect in Alexia's disappearance. Alexia is actually in some weird dungeon. There's a Frankenstein creature here as well. And this crazy guy comes in to extract blood from Alexia. Blood. Sid has actually been arrested and is now being tortured and interrogated. I don't know what the hell bro is doing, but he's acting like he can't just whoop these two guys. Sid is soon released though, but don't think that he won't come back to get his ones back against these two arrogant guards. Sid runs into one of his maidens, not sure what to call them now since they're no longer minors, I think. She tells him about the Call of Diablos, which Sid could care less about. So Alpha and him end up doing PP training. Sid is so gonna be overpowered now that he's got some cheeks. After he meets up with Beta, where she tells him that she's arranged 114 members of Bro's cult. 114? Oh, Low Shadow, I'm sorry. This was all the minor inconveniences who could assemble. Damn. When did the harem grow to 114? He ends up just leaving, but encounters these guys who deserve a good beating. Oh my, if he isn't a loser. He throws a boot at him and tries to arrest Sid, but right now, this isn't Sid. This is Shadow. Shadow ends up killing them, and his harem is raiding the entire city. I haven't explained this yet, but the city is pretty much overrun by cult members. Not Sid's cult, but the cult of demon worshippers. On Alexia's side, the place is being raided by Sid's goons, so the doctor injects this big syringe into this creature. Go forth, my offspring! Kill them! The giant monster ends up killing the doctor and freeing Alexia, before going on a rampage throughout the city. Alexia frees herself and walks out, but she encounters the guy who was supposed to marry her. Oh, I was actually the one funding the doctor's research. Alexia is actually relieved because this guy was actually a weirdo, so luckily, she married Sid instead. He then brings up blood, which Alexia responds by saying, "Is blood all you lunatics talk about? Well, if I had your big sister, that would have been better. I'll just have to settle for you, I guess." Alexia becomes enraged and tries to humble this guy. She manages to slash him, but ends up getting folded and punched into the water. As dude is about to carry her off, we hear boss music, and turns out, it's Shadow. My name is Shadow, he who lurks in the shadow and hunts the shadow. I apologize for that corny ass line, but that's what he really said. This guy begins saying that Shadow must be the one raiding their bases and clowning on this guy for missing all the main bases. You are now in the presence of one of the core members. He then gets into a stance and lunges to kill Shadow, but Shadow teleports out of the way and says, "So, where's this core member you're talking about?" And pretty much called him a side character. Bro begins trading with Shadow and talking smack, but as he tries to overpower him and dash in, Shadow just blocks his attack and pretty much says, "Stop yelling. This isn't Dragon Ball Z." And dude just falls into this nasty sewer water. Are you sure you aren't a side character? He then blitzes Shadow and attempts to regain his reputation, but each attack is parried. Alexia is over here admiring Bro's elegant form. She's already thinking about joining his already crowded harem. Shadow slashes this guy down and he drops to his knees. I swear, I actually matter to the story. There's no way I'm a side character. But Sid begins saying some corny ass shit like, "We are the shadow, we hunt the shadow." But this guy begins laughing at his lame ass lines and gets up to pop some Viagra pills. He then begins screaming and powering up. Bro practically becomes a Super Saiyan and shows off by destroying a wall. He then powers up and thrusts at Shadow. If this is all you can do, then don't pretend to be him. Shadow then parried and uppercutted him, and before Duke could take a smoke break, Shadow jumps at him and begins beating him up like Batman. Gotham needs justice. He tries to fight back but gets walked down by Shadow. Shadow then activates this move that surrounds the entire area. What is this? What are you trying to do? Don't worry, I'm just gonna send you to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, before nuking the entire place. Actually, he didn't even nuke the place, he nuked the entire city. This is so damn overkill just for some side character as well. You guys will see that Shadow does this a lot, and Alexia's over here like, damn, bro did not have to do all of that. After Sid saved Alexia, she calls them out, and as bro is about to leave cause she goes on a 10-hour rant. Wait, there's something I want to talk to you about. You told me you like my fancy style, remember? Maybe it's too late. Okay. Can I go now? But don't think it's because of you. What? Can I go, please? Sid is such a blockhead that he doesn't realize that Alexia is over here wetting herself for him. Bro, why are you touching your lips? Weirdo. Wait, we've been pretending to be a couple for a while now. That side character is finally gone, so if you're interested, we could be for real lovers? In your dreams. Oh, After that day, Sid was never seen again. Well, that's a lie cause this nerd ends up bumping into Sid, who offers a hand. He looks like he just left the scene of a murder, so she takes his hand and oh my days, this brother Sid cannot stop pulling all the miners from Minecraft. The boys are now nagging him about if he smashed, but bro still insists that he's a virgin, which I still don't believe, because with all those babes around you, you'd have to either be a monk or a chick yourself, not to smash. The boys begin talking about this new place that opened up, called Misagoshi, that has chocolates? Alright, this is weird cause this is supposed to be another world, so there's not supposed to be any chocolates here. Sid is also curious. They arrive at the establishment, but the woman outside says that it's gonna take a whopping 80 minutes to get inside. But Sid is that guy, so any woman that encounters him, lets him in first. The staff ends up leading Sid in, and he's wondering why everything looks so damn modern. Hey, this better not be some Diddy party. Sid arrives at this massive place and notices that all these women are bound to him. Turns out that it's one of his many hundred maidens that turned the BS that was coming out of his mouth into useful information. They pretty much built an empire out of Sid bringing up chocolate in the past. Sid ends up taking a seat and rewarding these girls with his seed? I don't know what this is. We finally get an explanation on how bro is gathering all these miners for Minecraft. So these women were infected with a demon disease, just like how Alpha was. Sid pretty much came around and cured them. Sid sees the crazy amounts of money that they've gathered. $1 billion? Oh, is that not enough, my lord? Oh, no. Holy. I'm a freaking pimp. After that, his broke ass decided to steal some money. Not even steal, cause if he asked for everything they had, they would have just handed it all over. But now that y'all know about Sid going nuclear Godzilla mode, collecting miners from Minecraft, and pimping his girls out, you guys are about to see how this brother gathers a whopping total of 66 maidens. Right now, it's only at 100. But before he raises up a freshman, he needs to take a fat dump. What's wrong, bro? I have to go. Holy crap. I'll remember you, brother. Yeah, go on without me. I don't think I'm gonna make it. Sid, wait! Nah, we understand. We'll never tell anyone that you took a dump outside. Man to man, you have my word. So they both run off to tell the entire school that Sid had to poop outside. Sid actually did this to see what Alexia was up to, and she's really out here finding random crackheads in the alleyway. She defeats one of them, but two more appears. And as they charge her, she dodges, but they manage to land a hit on her. She punches one of them, but gets cornered. As they attempt to harm her, Shadow appears to protect his kin. They quickly run away. His king tries to stop him, but he goes off to kill one of the assassins. Before Sid can kill the other one, his big four-headed servant appears. I got this, Lord Shadow. Alright, bet. Don't disappoint me. As the dude charges her, he ends up getting one-shotted. It's time for the boys to test their riz. It's also Valentine's Day. It starts off horrible though, cause these boys could not keep their mouth shut, and Sid is now being flamed by the entire school about taking a shit outside. Like, look at these guilty suckers. I have Chucky feel. Blondie went for an upperclassman, and it looks like he's winning her heart. Hey, what are you doing talking to my girl? No, Blondie ends up being led away to be put into a coma. Now, it's time for this bald bro's riz. What happened to him would never happen to me. I learned all about her. To her friendship, to what pennies she wears, to what steps she takes, how she wipes, where she lives, as well as her skirt length and her melon size. I am Potato, the ladies' man. Yahoo! My fair lady. Well, sounds like it's going well for that brother. But what about Duke Dennis, Sid Cognate? This freshman from before ends up setting some books down besides him. As she's busy being a bookworm, he puts down the chocolates and nonchalantly walks off.
Thank you. That's the boy who...
Well, it looks like Sid has added another minor to his army, cause she's over here sucking on chocolate while thinking about Sid. Sid is actually being harassed by his own buddies. They sign him up for a tournament, which in his mind is not a very side character thing to do. No. What? Why not? If you join the tournament, if you attract too many girls, for some reason, my stomach hurts. Sid ends up going through with it and is now in the tournament. Everyone thinks that he'll lose, and they might actually be right, cause as this match starts, they dash at each other, which as they trade, Sid pops a blood bag and pretends to get sent flying. As everyone thinks it's over, since Sid looks like his back is broken, he gets up like a possessed demon and says, it's not over. Hey yo, you look like you're about to die. Ref, there's still some desire to collect me in his eyes. They exchange blows once again, which Sid ends up taking the fall. This happens over and over and over again. Sid ends up being saved by the ref and taken away on the stretcher, which the girl here has already fallen for this idiot. Sid walks away crushed, I guess, but the pink-haired girl shows up and asks if he's hurt badly. You're who again? They end up going out to have tea, which is clear that Shawty wants some love. Sid ends up agreeing to become friends, and pink-haired girl calls her adopted grandpa over. This guy is important to the story because he's about to do something crazily stupid. Since Alexia and Sid used to date, Sherry, the pink-haired girl, goes to visit Alexia and asks if they're still together. This causes Alexia to panic, and the reason why I showed y'all this is because Sid's level of riz might actually be over 9,000. Sid is in class but notices that he can't use magic. Something is clearly up, so as he focuses, he realizes that people are coming. They burst into the room and destroy the swords. They claim to be Shadow Garden. The girl who beats Sid's cheeks tries to attack them, but her magic gets disabled. The guy slashes her sword and tries to cut her down, but Sid runs into the way to protect her. He gets cut down and pretty much falls and dies on the spot. The class president realizes that it's Sid, the owner of the biggest harem in anime. The class gets taken away, which Sid begins hitting himself and wakes up like the Undertaker. He quickly analyzes the situation and finds a way to negate the anti-magic. The entire place is on lockdown as the terrorists have taken over the entire school. Sid though is looking over Gotham City and begins flaming these guys for wearing all black in the middle of the day. So he puts them out of their misery. So after killing 20 terrorists in mere seconds, he spots Sherry being a minor. She thinks that she's being sneaky, but Sid has to help her out. Sid then jumps off the roof like a superhero and quickly dispatches as one of the guys to save Sherry. Sherry is so bad at sneaking around that Sid had to kill off the guy that was sneaking up on her. Huh? Oh, good. That was just my imagination. Sherry, in fact, is so bad at being sneaky, she almost ends up ending her own life. Luckily, Sid catches her. Sherry goes on a stupidly long rant, and after it's finally over, we get to see the villains being villains. One of the main baddies are walking down the halls, but all of his men gets kidnapped in a blink of an eye. Brother looks around but gets smacked in the face. He quickly gets up and puts up fishnets to protect himself. After explaining his powers to some random guy, Sid was actually inside and punches him into a wall. He is unable to recover as he gets kicked into another room. He sees one of his men dead and looks around to see hundreds of his men also dead. Sid appears like a menace and quickly kills him. The situation becomes intense as the students are still being held hostage and the guards and police can't really do much since all their magic has been shut off. Sid and Sherry finally manage to get the artifact that's gonna save everyone finished. But before they do, we get hit with a Sherry flashback where her mother, who was a researcher, was killed by an unknown man over some damn research. The grandpa was only one to be there for her, and he was also the one who adopted her. Sherry and Sid part ways, and she makes her way down this hall and over to the stadium where the students are being held hostage. She spots the night guy with the artifact blocking magic, so she tosses it at him and allows everyone to fight back. A brawl quickly breaks out, and as the students get their magic back, I'm not sure where they got the swords, but it's better now to question anime logic. Class president tries to go after the evil knight but gets surrounded by the enemies. Shadow though appears like Batman and raises her up before dispatching the terrorists. He summons his army of edgelords. He orders them to charge and a big massacre ensues. As the bad guys are losing, the entire place quickly erupts into flames. Security finally arrives after everything was already dealt with. Princess Iris, the strongest swordsman, approaches the class president and asks what happened. Some edgelords appeared and started calling themselves Shadow Guardian. While Sherry is trying to find her grandpa, this knight is over here burning books. Sid suddenly appears and calls him out. You're Sherry's grandpa, right? How did you know? Well, one look and it was obvious. I see. You have good eye, boy. Can I ask you something? What is it? Why are you doing this? You really want to know? At one point in my life, I had reached the peak of swordsmanship, and there was no one left in my wake. This old man reveals his ambition for strength. He thinks that he's way too strong. He reveals that he was the one who killed Sherry's mother and stole her research. He only adopted Sherry to groom her. After sharing their ambitions, these two warriors face off. They unsheathe their blades and exchange blows, but Sid is the one who loses. I bid you farewell, Sid Kagane. Where do you think you're going? He turns back to see Shadow sitting there menacingly. Shadow gets up and approaches him, ready to destroy him. Bro realizes that he might be cooked if he doesn't use a power-up. He transforms into this Chinese master and charges him. He's super confident as he blitzes Shadow at lightning speed, but Shadow is unfazed. I'll admit, you're very strong indeed, and to show my respect, I'll kill you. Chinese master quickly powers up even further and blitzes Shadow, but the one who got cut was only him. He becomes shocked and asks Shadow as if that was all he got. Dude looks back like, damn, and blitzes Shadow again, forgetting that he's up against him. It's impossible for you to be this good. Well, it doesn't matter. It's over. I made sure you took the blame for everything that happened tonight. The entire world would be hunting you down. Sid just sighs and tells this villain that his army of edgelords and him aren't the good guys. The guy realizes that Shadow is actually him and dashes back and attempts to finish Shadow, but gets stabbed in the hand. Shadow slashes him over and over and over before reminding him of how he killed Sherry's mother, before stabbing this guy through the heart and finally finishing him. The old man realizes that Shadow is actually Sid before dying. As Shadow walks past Sherry, who just stumbled into this, she's reminded of the scene that happened to her mother. You're better off not knowing. After this, Sid and Sherry meet up. She's clearly hella broken and tells Sid that she's gonna go somewhere far away. As she's about to leave, Sid asks her what is it she needs to do.
It's a secret.
It's summer break and Sid is over here with his new girlfriend, Princess Class President. I actually don't remember her name, but she falls in love with him after he saved her. She found him in the hospital and clinged on to him ever since. Sid doesn't like her though and tries to avoid her whenever and however. He wants to stay a side character, so to do so, he must protect his virginity. So after a few days, they arrive at the land of magic, and after a few more dates, Sid encounters one of his elite glazers who offers him a book, and Sid reads through them to realize that she's legit stolen these from his world. world. This actually happened because he shared some stories from his world with Beta, which she turned him into real stories. During the night, Sid likes to act like Batman. Sid appears to violate this man, but another one of his Mii Riders appears, and it's Epsi, the girl who's got breast implants and a BBL, using Shadow's special slime. Her mouth doesn't move when she talks, her melon does.
Epsilon is a very proud woman. I can tell by the amount of slime she's piled onto herself.
Sid then goes to relax at a hot spring. Bro is actually jacked underneath. As he washes off and has a relaxing bath, he turns to Alexia, who is also here. She is very shocked, but Sid couldn't care less. She gets flustered and tries to cover herself, but Sid's nonchalant behavior actually pisses her off. Alexia actually attempts to recruit Sid into the nice club, but bro is very stubborn. I thought you would lust over me, but I see I was wrong. I make it a point not to look at people while soaking in a hot spring. In that spirit, might I ask you to stop staring at my Excalibur? Ha! You call that thing you have an Excalibur? I think the word you're looking for is worm. Huh. You mustn't judge a book by its cover. Brother gets up and says, you might come to find out what you thought was a worm was actually a great sword that was merely contained in its sheath. What do you mean?
When a holy sword is removed from its sheath, its sparkling blade is set free to plunder the Garden of Chaos.
Sid leaves and leaves her absolutely speechless. Hopefully I can blur all of that, but it's the day of the magical trial, where people step up and an ancient warrior will be summoned. There's a great prize for this, so everyone has high hopes. After 10 hours of everyone failing to summon any warriors.
I hope this will be over soon. After all that, it looks like someone named Anne Rose is the only one who managed to summon an ancient warrior.
Next, from the Midgar Academy for Dark Knights, Sid Kagano!
Next is a guy named Sid Kagano. That is such a background character name. Sid Kagano. Wait!
Sid tries to come up with a way to avoid the spotlight, so after coming up with two horrendous ideas, he decides to become him. A bright light appears in his freaking shadow. He pulls out a sword and everyone's super confused. He powers up and begins activating the most intense magic to ever exist. A freaking woman appears though, and it's not any woman. It's the Witch of Calamity, the strongest human to ever exist. The witch who could destroy the world. As they face off, the witch summons a bunch of blood spears and tries to rain on Shadow. She tries to hit him, but he avoids each one with ease. After dodging some more, he begins running across the barrier and is actually enjoying this fight. As the witch summons more spears, Shadow meets her eye and the fight is absolutely insane as she covers the entire arena with blood spears. He easily blisters her though and kills her. Without any explanation, Shadow just leaves and disappears. Everyone is super confused, but it's not over as this big red gate appears and covers the entire city. Shadow becomes Sid. He is already thinking about how smart his plan was to avoid the spotlight. A gate suddenly appears beside him. He wonders what the hell that is, but just ends up leaving. But it persistently follows him until he makes it to the forest and finally gives in. Sid enters the room and meets this girl. She gives him some compliments, but Sid though just wants to instantly leave. She suddenly asks him if he isn't gonna help a king in distress. Sid, like the gentleman he is, unsheathes his sword and cuts her free. They make a plan to escape this place, but they can't use magic, so this could be trouble. She walks him over to this little girl. This is a memory prison, so they smack the minor inconvenience. After doing this a couple more times, they get to this area where a holy sword is being kept. The witch explains that they have to break the chain and break the cord to escape, and Sid is about to do just that, but he decides to hold back a little. The witch tells him to come over here to pull this sword out, but Sid quickly realizes that he is not worthy. He's not no hero. As he steps forward to attempt to pull it out, he pulls on it so hard that it leaves a crack. The witch says the most obvious thing about the sword only being allowed to be pulled out by the hero. Sid pulls away, and they both realizes that they might be stuck in here until Sid decides to show off. But that's not gonna happen as this bald guy randomly appears. Sid notices an elf who looks exactly like Alpha. Bald dude begins arrogantly saying that he's gonna destroy them. This elf is a sword hero and she's extremely strong. So when they approach each other, the witch gets worried. Don't worry, kid. I'm him. They stand across from each other and the hero suddenly blisters Sid. The fight is so damn fast that we can't even see anything. The elf then appears and blisters him. Sid has no time to recover as he gets overwhelmed. As he tries to recover, she sends slashes at him. He manages to catch himself though, but gets caught smiling like a menace. Why are you smiling? Huh? What the hell are you smiling? The elf then instantly blisters him. As he dodges, he gets hit by her. Sid still manages to land without harm, but is actually disappointed that his opponent is nothing but an emotionless shell. As Dude tells the hero to kill Sid, Sid's new kin runs over to him and tells him it's enough. She's acting like if she gives in, Sid is going to be spared. As these guys begin negotiating, Sid is like, bruh, why are you guys acting like I'm gonna lose? Fine, kill him! As Sid gets instantly killed, he grins like a maniac and Aikidos the girl, and then puts it into a chokehold and begins biting her neck. Bro begins literally sucking the life out of this chick. Blood begins gushing out and she is somehow killed just like that. Sid, are you some sort of dog? Bald guy questions how he even survived being stabbed, but Sid just makes up some BS to cover his paw armor. Sid approaches the bald guy and as he surrenders, he says, "A win is a win. Congratulations!" Sarcastically. "Oh, thank you, yay!" Dude then reveals that he has an army of women, maybe even more than Sid. Since Sid is without his maidens, he gets targeted by all of them. There is so many, and as they attempt to kill Sid, Sid suddenly activates his powers and instantly kills them all. Bald guy is like, bruh, how? Sid is so much of a G that he was actually spending all that time countering the anti-magic. Bald guy orders his harem to kill Sid. As they appear and charge at Sid, Sid prepares to send these guys to heaven. Sid though isn't gonna let the title of the guy with the biggest harem go, so he suddenly activates his power and covers the entire place in his aura. The power is immense, and as he prepares to blow the place to bits, one of the elves stabs him in the heart.
Atomic.
Not only is the place blown up, but the entire city is engulfed by Shadow's immense power, which is so overkill. Like, comment, and subscribe for part 2. Most people lack grip strength, which is one of the biggest key factors to us not being able to lift more than we actually can in the gym. And also, you won't perform as well in clinches and in grappling if you neglect grip strength. That's why I've been using a 100 kg gripper for the past 30 days, and it has significantly improved my grip when doing workouts and martial arts. Not only that, but it's really convenient whenever I'm in class or on the bus. 100 kg grip strength should definitely be on the list when you're trying to obtain strength. You can find the gripper in the description at hardgainers.com.